The following is a production of White Lightning Entertainment. This is Burning Rubber Radio.
Boogity. Boogity! Let's go racing, boys!
Let's go cruise the concrete.
Gotta love you some DW. He loved this place.
And it loved him.
Give
6
to the
or
lead.
7 of all of them right here in a row. You can throw a blanket over them.
Denny Hamlin in a wall off of 3.
And a spin in turn
There it
2,
is.
and it's Kyle Busch.
And it's down. The right rears finally blew out on him. I don't think he's the only one.
Then around goes Kyle Busch in turn 2. Ty Gibbs sweeps the stages in Bristol. And by about 12 car lengths, Denny Hamlin is going to win Bristol.
2 in a row here.
The winner here last fall, and he wins on the return to spring concrete.
Burning Rubber Radio is brought to you by Drive Refine. It's more than driver coaching. It's Drive Refine. Visit driverefine.com to get signed up today. Now from the White Lightning Entertainment Studios in Statesville, North Carolina, here's your host, Andy DeLay.
Burning Rubber, baby. It's that time again. Burning Rubber Radio is the fastest 60 minutes in motorsports radio. I'm Andy DeLay, your host, sitting alongside this real big fat guy, Wayne Owens, over here.
Hey, I'm not fat anymore.
No, you're trying to say you're PHAT. And of course, we've got the NASCAR chef, John Dix, over here. Guys, got a great show lined up for everybody and a lot of fun.
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, a lot of fun.
Always fun, guys. And we got Mr. Todd Parrott today. Woo. That's gonna be great. Yep. Everybody
Todd
listen
Parrott, legacy crew chief.
No, not legacy.
No, a legacy as in an old school.
Legendary.
There you go.
Okay, yeah, legendary. Well, I say, yeah, he is. Okay, corrected. Anyway, we got to definitely open up talking about, boys, what the fuck? Whoops, did I just go, where? Sorry about that, folks. But what the F was up with those tires at Bristol on Sunday?
Ooh, Andy, I remember you telling us something off the air before we got on this week that supposedly they were coming in with the original compound from the fall race, but the only tires I saw with the original compound were the trucks.
Yeah, the trucks, man, great race. We'll talk about that up here in the show too. Kyle Busch putting on a show in that number 7, really pushing the bumper of Christian Eckes. Yep. That was I think the best of the 2 races this weekend. But if you like watching cars at half throttle so they didn't end up in the wall, I guess Cup Series race was your cup of tea.
Well,
yeah, the Cup race wasn't bad. It just no one was there to watch it. So,
right.
That's true.
And folks, we get into that, and we'll get into that in the next segment here, because we were talking about it more off the air too as well with that specific race. How it used to be, you used to have years worth of wait time to even get tickets, and we get into a whole we'll get into a whole discussion in regards to ticket sales and things like that again this week on the show. But Andy, it was funny. Speaking of getting into a good discussion on calling NASCAR out on their BS. My lovely job being an Uber driver, I had one of the advertising sales managers for NASCAR in my car this weekend.
And I bet you are, oh, hi, how are you? It's good to love you. We love NASCAR.
No, actually, no. She was, I told her the same thing I tell everybody. We call NASCAR out on their bullshit. And she was like, finally, somebody that does? Oh, my God.
Oh, my God. Now you got her fired.
Yep. There goes our media passes.
Yeah, they went right out the window, but hell, they've been out the window for a year.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, they like to see us as fanboys because we use the camera phones. Oh boy. And,
oh my Lord.
Do I hear Augie going off in the background?
Our little studio dog is in there just having at it, barking away.
He's over there eating my recipe.
Oh,
she is.
Oh man, but again, folks, jam-packed show this week. We're gonna, like I said, next segment, we're gonna have a whole discussion in regards to ticket sales and the low attendance this past weekend at Bristol, and pretty much just throughout the rest of the show, we're gonna go into everything, news of the week. And you know what, Andy, I heard, and we're going to touch on it a little bit towards the end of the show here when we get into news of the week, or more of our news of the week, rather, since the discussion, I think, is going to take up pretty much the whole of the next segment anyway. But rumor has it is that we've got another amazing woman jumping in the world of Top Fuel in the NHRA series. So we're going to touch on that. We're going to touch on Connor Zilic possibly getting an Xfinity Series deal. So there's talk about that. So do be on the lookout. And then, of course, we talked about trucks. We talked about Cup. We've pretty much everything. Once again,
yes.
When it comes to
while I got a second, folks, please go over and check out our YouTube, our Facebook pages on social medias. Like, follow, subscribe.
Yep.
Definitely hot on TikTok right now. Got a bunch of stuff. See what people do when they enter the restroom after Wayne's been in there, and all kinds of videos up there. That
more like that's more like what happens when you get done with the restroom.
And even the NASCAR chef has a neat little costume on there cooking shrimp tacos.
Now, I would dare say my favorite video that our social media monkeys have gotten to work on here in the last week is the one where it's like, producer Wade, after 8 hours of doing the show, you ain't done shit. Which is accurate as hell, folks, because these two clowns right here to my left and my right, they love to bust my balls in the middle while I'm in the middle of post-production on the show, and what should normally take me 2 maybe 3 hours to totally get done takes a full 8-hour day because of these two. And with that, it's just like, what are you doing?
We gotta keep him. We gotta keep him on his toes.
Yeah, we gotta keep him. You gotta earn that paycheck, brother.
Yeah, what paycheck? The whole $2.95 I make a week.
$2.98.
For the love of the sport, baby.
Yeah, right. Exactly, for the love of NASCAR. But with that said, here, folks, we've got to step aside, take that first forward fuel of the show, and when we come back, like I said, folks, I think we're going to get into a big discussion when it comes to ticket sales, marketing for NASCAR, and the, for lack of a better term, piss-poor attendance this past weekend at Bristol, baby.
To celebrate the new year, we're having the biggest sale ever on overstock clearance and brand new products. For example, save 60% on our Goose Down comforters, the best comforters ever. They go perfectly with our MyPillow bed sheets and duvet covers. Save 25% on our brand new kitchen towels. They're made with the same technology as our famous My Towels. Our initial quantities are extremely low, so get them now before they go. Our seasonal flannel sheets are finally in. You save up to 50%, and they sell out fast every year, so order now. They're truly the best flannel sheets you'll ever sleep on. Or save up to 80% on all our clearance items. And this is where it gets even better. For a limited time, your entire order ships absolutely free. So go to MyPillow.com or call the number on your screen. Use that promo code to get deep discounts on all MyPillow products. And for a limited time, your order ships absolutely free.
Hi, I'm Ryan Blaney, a third-generation race car driver. And we dedicate a lot of our time to going as fast as possible. My grandpa Lou is the reason why my dad and I started racing, and I'm really proud to follow in his tracks. But when my grandpa was diagnosed with Alzheimer's, it was a very unexpected bump in the road for us. I've learned a lot on this journey with my grandpa Lou, and the memories of my grandpa will always be with me. And in our family, we're used to getting involved, and I encourage you to do the same, especially when it comes to caring for your loved ones. When I think about Alzheimer's and the impact it had on my family, I recognize that losing a race isn't such a bad day after all. It's important to notice if older family members are acting differently, experiencing problems with their memory, or having trouble with routine tasks. Talking about Alzheimer's can be really tough, but if you notice something, have a conversation with your loved one. Encourage them to see a doctor or offer to go with them. Early detection of Alzheimer's can give your family time to explore support services, make a plan for the future, and access available treatments. If you or your family are noticing changes, it could be Alzheimer's. Talk about seeing a doctor together.
What can we learn from a child?
That spreading joy
is more important than a trophy.
That when we help others,
we heal ourselves.
That with a little love,
we can make the biggest impact.
At Speedway Children's Charities,
our mission
is simple.
Help every child we can.
Because all children deserve joy.
And hope. And love.
And if one child is still in need,
then there's still work to do.
Because their future
is our future.
And there's still so much they can teach us.
Burning Rubber is social. Follow us on Instagram at Instagram.com/Burning Rubber Radio. Now back to more Burning Rubber.
And we are back on Burning Rubber. It is producer Wayne along with Andy DeLay and the NASCAR chef himself, John Dix. And boys, it's that time where we get into some news of the week here. And Andy, we talked about it in the open here. News we have got again this week. I don't think anybody had Denny Hamlin on the pick chart last week, did we?
No, not at all.
And
I didn't.
especially after Phoenix watching that self-spin, we thought he was going to do nothing more than sabotage himself again at Bristol, and sure enough, he did not.
He didn't. He just got lucky. Let's put it that way. After those tires, he just, I guess, was lucky enough not to have him going. I mean, I thought Martin Truex Jr. had everything wrapped up until his tires went straight to hell in the last green flag, the last green flag pit stops, where Hamlin made it out of the pits ahead of him. And
you know what's funny is that's 2 weeks in a row that's happened to MTJ.
Yep.
2 weeks in a row. He comes down towards the end of the race for a green flag stop. And, last week it happened to him at Phoenix. This week it happens to him at Bristol. And I guarantee you he is kicking himself at both times.
Well, there's not much kicking he could do.
Guys, if you watch the last little bit of that race, it was actually scary to watch how slow those cars would drop off and get in everybody's way. It was just, it was bothering me. I thought somebody was going to really get hurt, and that was crazy.
Yes. And did you see the final lap, Hamlin? He tiptoed around Bristol on the final lap. Everybody was. They had to be at half throttle.
Oh, every bit of it, yeah, because usually around that racetrack, about top speed is roughly about 120, 130 before you get into the corners. But yeah, no, they were easily doing pit road speed at 45 to 55 miles per hour around the track itself. Like it was not the Bristol that I expected.
Well, no. Yeah, you can't when you're running on the inner liners after 15 or 20 laps.
Right.
What can they do?
and then on top of that, if I remember hearing correctly yesterday while I was listening to the race while going down the road, is that they only gave teams roughly 4 sets of tires. And if those tires are going away after, 20, 25 laps, 100 laps, they're out of tires already. They're having to go to scuffs. And honestly, the fact that most of those tires were down, like you said, to the inner liners, and beyond courting, there were no scuffs.
That's right. Half a lap scuff.
Yeah. Right.
Guys, did y'all see the grandstands, though? That was pathetic.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know what we got to do about our sport, but it was crazy. I've cooked at that racetrack before, and, I remember back when it was a 5-year wait to get tickets.
Oh, yeah.
Remember that?
And, I was looking at the grandstands, and it looked like a qualifying session.
Right.
It was horrible.
Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah.
Because there's problems. I was listening to Kenny Wallace's podcast, his little thing, and Kenny Wallace was talking about when he ran Square D stuff, and back in the 90s, Winston Cup, everybody was making at least a minimum of a few $1 million a year. Now there's Cup drivers that don't do that.
Right. But yet again, and this is the weird part before we move on and touch on to some other news, which we'll get to a lot of that later on in the show here, including trucks and Formula One and stuff like that. But, if I remember correctly, people like Denny Hamlin created the quote-unquote Drivers' Council for NASCAR to work on getting better pay and other things like that for some of these drivers. But you're sitting there looking at that and you're like, okay, where is this council going wrong? Because apparently they're not being as effective as we thought they were going to be.
Unionizing NASCAR, I think that got shot in the ass way back in the 60s when they tried to do that.
Well, NASCAR used to be run by racers. Now it's just run by a corporation.
Yeah.
I agree.
Pretty much.
It's just, I'm sorry, but it's getting terrible.
And it wasn't the fact that they tried to unionize the whole thing. The Drivers' Council was more of a thing to try and promote better safety standards, more pay, things along those lines. I mean, if you want to call it unionization, which in a way, in theory, it is, but in a lot of senses, they even Hamlin came out and said that it was not an attempt to unionize. It's just an attempt to make the sport better. So
Okay. Call it what you must.
Okay.
I mean, call it what you will, but I mean, it definitely sounds like unionization. But yeah, no, the attendance was just, for lack of a better term, it was piss poor this past weekend. And like you said, John, you know, it used to be, you know, 5, 10, 15 years ago, there was a 5 and sometimes 7 to 10 year wait just to be able to get tickets because they were already sold out years in advance. And not just for the spring race, but for the fall race too.
Yeah, that's right.
So, and honestly, usually the fall race is always the one that is more packed anyway. But I don't know. I've got a bad feeling. I mean, I know the economy plays a lot of factors into, you know, ticket sales and other things like that. But even that being the case, the tickets for Bristol are not that expensive. I mean, I think it's like $60 a ticket. And considering the economy is the way it is right now, if $60 is that hard to come by, that's a problem.
And there's also something else I think plays a big factor into it. Whoever marketed NASCAR back in the mid-'90s, they need to hire them back, or if they're dead, they need to go dig them up because they did a heck of a job.
Right.
You had the guys at the track were your gladiator heroes every weekend. Dale Earnhardt, Mark Martin, Terry Labonte. You know what I'm saying. You got all the guys that were good buddies off the track, but on the track, they wanted to, you know, they weren't good buddies. They wanted
to kill each other.
Yeah, exactly. And there was drama involved in this stuff. And these guys got out of the car and started, you know, Jimmy, what was his name? Jimmy Spencer. Yeah. Gets out of the car and pops Kurt Busch in the mouth. I mean, that's the kind of stuff we needed.
Right. Like
now.
The boys have at it.
Well, guys, I think it's a double-edged sword because in the early 2000s, they went to network TV, and it gave, you know, back in the 80s and 90s, it hardly wasn't even on TV. You had to listen to the radio or go to the race. And then in the early 2000s, when it got popular, they got greedy and went way up high on the prices. So what happened was families couldn't carry kids. Now the kids now are young adults and adults who didn't go, who didn't feel the excitement of being at a race. So they're staying home watching it on the TV. And I think it's a double-edged sword is why our grandstands aren't full anymore.
I would agree with that. I would agree with that 110% because, you know, you speak of that, John, you know, where it wasn't very often that it was on network television. You know, back in the day, back in the 90s, and I remember this plain as day, that the Coca-Cola 600, when it was ran here at Charlotte, there were many years that it was on local blackout.
I remember that.
And so at that point, and it was on that local blackout for a reason to attract fans to actually go to the races. And,
Absolutely.
And so even back then when it was on network TV, you know, like Speed or Fox or TNT or not NBC, it was TBS.
TNN and
TNN and stuff like that. Yeah. But even then, back in the and even ESPN for crying out loud.
I remember that.
Speed World, Speed Vision. And but yeah, it was on the network TV stuff, but even then it was something to the effect of every race that was in that local area per the television contract, it was set up to have that local broadcast blackout. And that would attract those fans to be like, hey, let's go buy a $45 ticket and we're going to go hang out at the races and drink beer and have fun and be rowdy. And what
I remember that not that long ago, Atlanta was $35.
Yep. And
there's that's crazy right now with what's going on. NASCAR is going to have to do something with their marketing themselves. Number one, folks, cover your ears if you don't like this because they got to quit being so stinking woke.
Right, exactly.
That's number one. Number two, they need to talk to their fans and who they are and embrace them because woke folks aren't NASCAR fans. They could care less about it.
Absolutely.
That is so freaking true, man. So freaking true. And you know, like coming up this weekend here, March the 24th on Sunday, we've got the Echo Park Automotive Grand Prix at Circuit of the Americas. Now, don't get me wrong. I love the idea of road courses because, folks have brought that up before many a times. Why don't we have more road courses? Why don't we have more short tracks? Short track Saturday. And actually, you know what? And this is a thought that comes to mind because, you look at tracks like Richmond, which is coming up the week after next, or next week after everything. Instead of doing cup races on Sunday, why not do cup races on Saturday night? Saturday night short track. Make a promotion of something like that.
Why not?
Yeah,
look at the truck race.
Yeah.
Everybody was watching the truck race on Saturday night.
Oh, yeah. And really, in theory, you could do a double header at that point. Make the truck race the prelim and then make your main event the cup race on Saturday night.
Yeah.
But, there's also something that the trucks do, especially the trucks, is short attention span people, which are the whole new Gen Z deal. That is it. You get in, you get out of the trucks in an hour and a half. That's pre-race, post-race, everything's said and everything's done. And folks can have dinner, get into the track, get out of the track, get drunker than they already are, and all of that stuff. It isn't like it was back in the early days where folks would sit down, want to watch a 3-hour show or a 2-hour show.
Right.
They want to see that. I think the trucks are what Cup needs to be.
Well, and really, in theory, it goes back to something we talked about, and we've got to get ready to go to break here in just a minute. But, it's something we talked about a little bit last year, actually. SRX, case in point.
Yes.
They started on the button, 8 o'clock pre-race, but they didn't have all the pageantry. They didn't have all the extra hocus pocus. They literally got to the national anthem. They got the drivers in the cars. They were green flag in 15 minutes right after 8 o'clock. And then within literally an hour, they were already at the main event or the feature race for that night or whatever track they were running at. And within that next hour, they had the entire race completed. So 2 hours total, it was over, it was done with. And if it didn't end right at 10 o'clock, it might have been like a minute or two after. But if it was going to go way, way, way over, they were chopping laps off of the clock.
Yeah, I remember. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, I think the cup race ought to be about 2/3 or maybe 3/4 the distance it is now in time.
Yep, I agree with you. 100%.
And we need some characters again.
Yes, we do. Yes, we do.
Let us three get out there. We'll show them.
I tried that once. It didn't work too well.
You blew an oil pan.
And that wasn't in the seat of my pants either, the oil pan. It was an engine.
Yes, it was, but we won't go there. With that said here, folks, we've got to step aside. We got to take that next foreign fuel of the show here. And when we come back, we have got our featured guest of the week, man, and I'm looking forward to this one. And we can talk to him about some of these points, too, as far as the marketing and other things like that when it comes to NASCAR. We've got Todd Parrott coming on right after this.
Hi, I'm Ryan Blaney, a third-generation race car driver. And we dedicate a lot of our time to going as fast as possible. My grandpa Lou is the reason why my dad and I started racing, and I'm really proud to follow in his tracks. But when my grandpa was diagnosed with Alzheimer's, it was a very unexpected bump in the road for us. I've learned a lot on this journey with my grandpa Lou, and the memories of my grandpa will always be with me. And in our family, we're used to getting involved, and I encourage you to do the same, especially when it comes to caring for your loved ones. When I think about Alzheimer's and the impact it had on my family, I recognize that losing a race isn't such a bad day after all. It's important to notice if older family members are acting differently, experiencing problems with their memory, or having trouble with routine tasks. Talking about Alzheimer's can be really tough, but if you notice something, have a conversation with your loved one. Encourage them to see a doctor or offer to go with them. Early detection of Alzheimer's can give your family time to explore support services, make a plan for the future, and access available treatments. If you or your family are noticing changes, it could be Alzheimer's. Talk about seeing a doctor together.
To celebrate the new year, we're having the biggest sale ever on overstock clearance and brand new products. For example, save 60% on our Goose Down comforters, the best comforters ever. They go perfectly with our MyPillow bed sheets and duvet covers. Save 25% on our brand new kitchen towels. They're made with the same technology as our famous My Towels. Our initial quantities are extremely low, so get them now before they go. Our seasonal flannel sheets are finally in. You save up to 50%, and they sell out fast every year, so order now. They're truly the best flannel sheets you'll ever sleep on. or save up to 80% on all our clearance items. And this is where it gets even better. For a limited time, your entire order ships absolutely free. So go to MyPillow.com or call the number on your screen. Use that promo code to get deep discounts on all MyPillow products. And for a limited time, your order ships absolutely free.
What can we learn from a child?
That spreading joy
is more important than a trophy.
that when we help others,
We heal ourselves.
That with a little love,
We can make the biggest impact.
At Speedway Children's Charities,
our mission
It's simple.
help every child we can.
because all children deserve joy.
And hope. And love.
And if one child is still in need,
Then there's still work to do.
because their future
Is our future.
and there's still so much they can teach us.
Visit us online at burningrubberradio.com for recipes from the NASCAR chef, John Dix, and more great content.
Yeah, man, I'll tell you what, that dang old internet, man, you just go on there and point and click, 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 click. It's real easy, man.
Now back to more Burning Rubber Radio.
And we are back with Burning Rubber. It's producer Wayne along with the NASCAR chef John Dix and Andrew DeLay. And Andy, we have got by far one of the best guests we could have ever had on the show today.
Oh, yeah, man. I'm looking forward to someone. We're talking earlier in the show about old school NASCAR, old school Winston Cup Series stuff. Well, heck, you can't get any more 1990s old school than Todd Parrott, who we have with us today. Hey, Todd.
Hey, what's up?
Well, nothing much, man.
I hope the hell you're not saying I'm old.
Well, heck, I'm like that.
If you are, I gotta go.
Well, I was going to say, Todd, if you're old, that makes Andy ancient. So,
oh, I am.
Yeah, man. I tell you what. I've done a lot of things and seen a lot of things, and yeah. Do I feel old? No, I don't feel old. I feel very distinguished and with a lot of history.
There you
go.
And that's the best way to look at it.
Yeah, it is.
Right.
Yeah.
Never think of yourself as being the minute you start thinking of yourself as old, that's when everything just goes downhill.
Man, I have a whole lot of memories and shoot. Like I tell people all the time, or they ask me, they're like, "You've probably forgotten more than most of these kids and crew chiefs, and today will ever even learn or know."
That's pretty accurate.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's pretty accurate. In fact, we got to go all the way back to the start of things here, and go all the way back to your days at Yates Racing, Robert Yates Racing, back in the '90s in the Winston Cup era. And being with Dale Jarrett, what I have to ask first and foremost, because we have talked with with the legendary folks that we have had on this show, including folks like Larry McReynolds and all the stuff that we've talked about from back in the 90s. It was a whole different era of motorsports that was, boys have at it. Somebody pissed you off on the track. You weren't afraid to go up and start slugging on them. And even though after the race, you usually made up, hugged it out, handshake, and become friends again. But, we don't have that in this current era of racing. So for those that are coming up in motorsports nowadays, Todd, tell folks what it was like back in the 90s, because even I would love to hear your version of that story.
Well, first of all, let me tell you that, I don't want to show my age, but I was with Rusty Wallace, Barry Dodson, and Harold Elliott, and Raymond Beadle, and the Blue Max race team when we won the championship in 1989.
Ooh. Wow.
Yeah. So those days back then, like I said, graduating high school.
Mm-hmm.
I had choices to make, either to go play golf, which I had 3 golf scholarships.
Wow.
To go play golf. Because I was scratch or below when I graduated. And I was like, you know what? I know if I go to school and play golf, I'm not actually going to be able to just play golf. I'm going to have to study.
Yep.
And I hated studying. I hated that. But I love playing golf. I played every single day. But yeah, so I have a lot to owe to Barry Dodson, Harold Elliott, Raymond Beadle, Rusty Wallace. I mean, I was with him from Richmond drove the car, and I graduated 83, 84. I worked with the King and my dad when he won his last two races, 199 and 200. So, yes, I was a part of that history. And then in 85, I went to work for Blue Max, and Tim Richmond was driving. And then 86, Rusty started driving. So pretty much was with Rusty Wallace from 86 till October of 1995, and that's when Larry McReynolds and Robert Yates called me up. It was actually Larry called me and said, hey, he said, they said, we'd like to take you to dinner. And I'm like, oh my goodness, this is scary. I said, okay. I said, all right, we're leading the points. We're beating them every week.
Right.
Are they going to try to buy my notebook and all my information that I have with Rusty?
Right.
But it didn't work out that way. It was amazing. Went to Larry's house, up on the lake, and we sat down, and Robert basically said, hey, we're getting ready to start a second team in 1996, and we'd like for you to come be the crew chief. And I'm like, wow. I was the actual chassis specialist.
Oh, wow.
For Rusty. Oh, yeah. Yes. From 1992 till I left there in October of 95, I set up every single race car that Rusty Wallace drove and raced, and we won 18 races in 93 and 94 with my dad being crew chief. So, I had a pretty good knowledge of setups and how to make a race car handle based on my experience with Rusty, my dad, and and just we got back then. Whenever we wanted to go to the wind tunnel down at Lockheed and Marietta, Georgia, all we had to do is basically, I would say, hey, listen, I got some ideas, and Rusty would have some ideas, and we'd say, hey, let's go to Marietta and blow our car for about 6 or 7 hours and see what we got.
Very cool. So now the question then that
these are the things that you guys don't even have knowledge of.
Right. And sadly, we are just about out of time for the week here with you, Todd. But one last comment that I will make prior to wrapping up is, you pretty much summed it up a few moments ago, is that the respect amongst the old school generation of the racer from the 70s, 80s, and 90s. It's something that stands the test of time. It does not go away. The fact that you guys still are...
Wait, time out, and I don't have no more left. It's not the 70s, 80s, and 90s. Let's say, if you're going to include me, you're going to have to talk about the 80s and 90s.
Well,
don't date them that much, Wayne.
Well, the generalization of it all, but either way, the racer, the respect of the old school generation of racers from back in that era of motorsports. And yes, I'd go back to being like Chocolate Myers again. Back in my day.
Do not say back in the day. My God, I hear that all the time. I'm like, oh God.
But But with that all said here, since we got to get ready to head over to our next commercial break, and John's got to get on the grill and start cooking for us here, we got a tradition that we want to get you in on. Kenny Wallace. So
Yeah.
Rusty's brother started this for us back in 2008. Grabbed the mic out of Andy's hand and shouted, "Burning rubber, baby," at the top of his lungs. And of course, you know how crazy Kenny is. Those three famous words. We get it from every driver, every crew chief. We've got it from Larry Mack. We've had it from Kenny. We've had it from Ken Schrader. We've had it from everybody. And those three famous words might see you get another couple of wins this year in Arca East there, Todd.
Or at least 2/10 on the track.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I mean, I am going up with some of the legends with Bill Venturini and Kevin Reed and Shannon Rush and some great friends over there. And like I said, so what do you want me to say?
Whenever you're ready, give us a big old burning rubber, baby, at the top of your lungs.
Let's go, baby doll. Let's go burn some rubber.
Yeah. All right. Ladies and gentlemen.
That is a great one.
Yeah, right. That is the best one I've heard. I hate to say it. I think he topped Kenny on that one.
Man, that was up with the Dale Jr. one there with the dogs
right,
barking.
Exactly. But with that all said here, folks,
you know what?
What's up?
One of my favorite sayings is,
Huh?
All right.
All right. And actually, there's we'll talk to you about it off the air, but I know somebody else who has a very similar saying like that. So, but with that said here, folks, we are going to step aside. We are going to take that next commercial break. And when we come back, Andy, that grill's fired up, buddy. NASCAR Chef John Dix is cooking for us.
Hi, I'm Ryan Blaney, a third-generation race car driver. And we dedicate a lot of our time to going as fast as possible. My grandpa Lou is the reason why my dad and I started racing, and I'm really proud to follow in his tracks. But when my grandpa was diagnosed with Alzheimer's, it was a very unexpected bump in the road for us. I've learned a lot on this journey with my grandpa Lou, and the memories of my grandpa will always be with me. And in our family, we're used to getting involved, and I encourage you to do the same, especially when it comes to caring for your loved ones. When I think about Alzheimer's and the impact it had on my family, I recognize that losing a race isn't such a bad day after all. It's important to notice if older family members are acting differently, experiencing problems with their memory, or having trouble with routine tasks. Talking about Alzheimer's can be really tough, but if you notice something, have a conversation with your loved one. Encourage them to see a doctor or offer to go with them. Early detection of Alzheimer's can give your family time to explore support services, make a plan for the future, and access available treatments. If you or your family are noticing changes, it could be Alzheimer's. Talk about seeing a doctor together.
Looks like you've been sleeping well.
Megan, he's back. The MyPillow guy.
And you're looking good.
Still feeling good.
Well, just when you thought it couldn't get any better, we've got the best pillow ever, MyPillow 2.0. When I invented MyPillow, it had everything you'd ever want in a pillow. Well, now there's new technology that makes it even better. MyPillow 2.0 has my patented fill combined with a cooling fabric with temperature regulating thread. MyPillow 2.0 is truly the next generation of MyPillow.
Now's the time to go to MyPillow.com or call the number on your screen. Use the promo code to save 50% on your MyPillow 2.0. Not only that, for a limited time, your entire order ships absolutely free.
You're sleeping even better.
And cooler, too.
And you're looking good.
Feeling good.
I knew you would.
MyPillow.com.
What can we learn from a child?
That spreading joy
is more important than a trophy.
that when we help others,
We heal ourselves.
That with a little love,
We can make the biggest impact.
At Speedway Children's Charities,
our mission
It's simple.
help every child we can.
because all children deserve joy.
And hope. And love.
And if one child is still in need,
Then there's still work to do.
because their future
Is our future.
and there's still so much they can teach us.
The grill is fired up, and the chef has something good cooking. It's the NASCAR Chef, John Dix, and more burning rubber.
And we are back on Burning Rubber.
Todd Parrott was a blast, man.
Yeah, he was. And off air, the candor off air, even more hilarious, folks. And and what you didn't get to hear of the interview on the show this week, folks, is already over on our TikTok page at tiktok.com/Burning Rubber Radio, or just search at Burning Rubber Radio inside the TikTok app. We're also going to have it up on Facebook and Instagram and everything else as well in the coming days, and YouTube. So do be on the lookout for parts that you didn't hear on the radio this week, or even in our primary show. You're gonna hear some fun stuff that we had to take out for time with Todd Parrott this week on the show. But we've got to get on over now. The grill's fired up. Frankie's in the kitchen, aka the NASCAR chef John Dix. John, what you got good cooking this week, buddy?
Well, guys, we're on a cheesesteak roll here. Last week we had cheesesteak. What was it? Egg rolls. This week we're doing Philly cheesesteak meatloaf. Some good comfort food, man. We're going to get started with 1 pound of ground beef, 1 cup of breadcrumbs, 1 egg, a half a cup of milk, a half a cup of diced onion and diced green peppers, 1 cup of sliced mushrooms. Now, if you don't like mushrooms, you can leave them out. That's fine. All right. 1 tablespoon of Worcestershire sauce, some garlic powder, some salt and pepper to taste. Okay. 1 cup of a couple slices of provolone cheese, about 4 or 5 slices. Okay. A half a cup of beef broth, 1/4 cup of ketchup, 2 tablespoons of brown sugar, and a little bit of mustard, about a teaspoon. Okay, guys, you want to preheat your oven to 350. In a bowl, you want to mix the ground beef, the breadcrumbs, the eggs, the milk, the onions, the green peppers, all right, the Worcestershire sauce, and the garlic powder and the milk. Mix it all together with the eggs, okay? And then with that meat mixture, you want to press half of it in the bottom of a meatloaf pan, okay? Then you're going to lay your slices of cheese on top of that, and then put the other half of the meat mixture on top of that, okay? You want to, in a bowl, you want to mix the broth, the ketchup, the brown sugar, and the mustard, basically what you got left, and pour it over the meatloaf. Bake it for about an hour, let it rest for about 10-15 minutes before you slice it and serve it. And I'm going to tell you something, guys. You will be making this meatloaf again. It is absolutely delicious.
Ooh, yeah, sounds like some good stuff. Now,
sounds really good.
And the best part is, Andy, of course, John knows how to pronounce Worcestershire sauce, but God knows, I tell you what, I have seen the rounds on Facebook and TikTok and everywhere else lately where people, man, there's like 150 different ways to mispronounce Worcestershire sauce. And I heard one the other day, John, that would just make your head blow a gasket. And
I hate to call out Robin, but she calls it W sauce. So
that's right. The guy I watch on YouTube cook too calls it W sauce. Some old cowboy. Pretty
there
cool.
You go.
Hey, folks, if you want to get a hold of the NASCAR chef, you can do that. And you have a new email, John.
Yeah, we do.
Yep, he's got a new email. It is john@brrtv.net. And again, that's john@brrtv.net. Or if you just want to hit up the general studio line, studio@brrtv.net. And you can get a hold of the NASCAR chef, John Dix, submit your recipes and all that other good fun stuff. And make sure you send John a couple of recipes with some Worcestershire sauce in there. That way he can have more fun pronouncing that one. Because like I said, John, I heard one the other day, and when I said make you blow a head gasket, she called it Roy Sister Cherie sauce.
Wow.
Oh, Lord.
Like you got 150 different ways to mispronounce Worcestershire sauce, and you totally bypassed every single one of them with the Roy Sister Cherie sauce.
Yeah, I don't think I'd heard that one, Wayne. Good one.
And also, folks, we run about a week behind posting John's recipes up on TikTok, YouTube, Instagram, and Facebook. So if you want your stuff, it's about a week behind, so we keep the new stuff on the new show. So if you'd like his stuff, you can go look over there and find all of John's cooking over there.
Yep. You can reach out to me on Facebook too, guys. Just John Dix on Facebook. So feel free to give me all your slide comments and we'll go from there.
There you go. Well, folks, with that said here, we're going to step aside. We're going to take one final forward fuel. And as we do, make sure you take a good look at the recipe there for Philly cheesesteak meatloaf. And with that said here, we, again, are going to step aside, take that final foreign fuel, hit up news of the week when we come back. And, boys, again, word has it that we've got some stuff going on in the world of JRM. We'll talk about it when we come back.
Hello, I'm Mike Lindell, and I'm here to tell you about my new product from MyPillow, towels that actually work. Watch this absorbency test. Here's another towel that we randomly went out and bought. Here's one of my towels with the nice design. I don't know if you can see this, but you could line a swimming pool with this. I mean, this is crazy. Get rid of it. Towels that actually work. What a concept. I'm interrupting this commercial to let you know you can get our 6-piece My Towels, regular $69.98, now only $29.98. Or you can save 25% on our brand new kitchen towels, made with the same technology as our famous My Towels. Also, we have bath sheets, bath towels, washcloths, hand towels, and so much more. And the best part, with your promo code, your entire order ships absolutely free. So go to MyPillow.com or call the number on your screen. Use that promo code to get deep discounts on all My Towels. And for a limited time, your order ships absolutely free.
Hi, I'm Ryan Blaney, a third-generation race car driver. And we dedicate a lot of our time to going as fast as possible. My grandpa Lou is the reason why my dad and I started racing, and I'm really proud to follow in his tracks. But when my grandpa was diagnosed with Alzheimer's, it was a very unexpected bump in the road for us. I've learned a lot on this journey with my grandpa Lou, and the memories of my grandpa will always be with me. And in our family, we're used to getting involved, and I encourage you to do the same, especially when it comes to caring for your loved ones. When I think about Alzheimer's and the impact it had on my family, I recognize that losing a race isn't such a bad day after all. It's important to notice if older family members are acting differently, experiencing problems with their memory, or having trouble with routine tasks. Talking about Alzheimer's can be really tough, but if you notice something, have a conversation with your loved one. Encourage them to see a doctor or offer to go with them. Early detection of Alzheimer's can give your family time to explore support services, make a plan for the future, and access available treatments. If you or your family are noticing changes, it could be Alzheimer's. Talk about seeing a doctor together.
What can we learn from a child?
That spreading joy
is more important than a trophy.
that when we help others,
We heal ourselves.
That with a little love,
We can make the biggest impact.
At Speedway Children's Charities,
our mission
It's simple.
help every child we can.
because all children deserve joy.
And hope.
And love.
And if one child is still in need,
Then there's still work to do.
because their future
Is our future.
and there's still so much they can teach us.
Burning Rubber is social. Follow us on X at twitter.com/BRR_radio. Now back to more Burning Rubber.
And we are back on Burning Rubber. It is producer Wayne along with Andy DeLay and the NASCAR chef John Dix. And boys, man, we had fun with our little op-ed column right there at the beginning of the show when we were supposed to technically be having news of the week.
Oh yeah.
So we've actually got quite a bit of news that we're going to touch on here in regards to everything coming up in at the end of the show here, and then of course we're going to have picks for Circuit of the Americas and the Echo Park Automotive Grand Prix, which actually is considerably earlier this year than it was last year, because last year they ran that race in June. So,
yeah, they did.
So that
Wayne, are they running the trucks there too, along with I know Xfinity's running there.
You know what? Let me actually go take a quick peek. And
Yeah, nothing like putting you on the spot. Sorry, buddy.
Yeah, right.
Was it that late last year in June?
Yeah.
Was it? I didn't remember it being that late.
Yeah, no, it was 2 weeks. It was 2 weeks before the All-Star race in the Coke 600 last year.
Oh, okay.
And so yeah, it was pretty early on. And they are running all three series at Circuit of the Americas this weekend.
So all right, cool. This ought to be good.
Oh,
I'm gonna be there next year.
Mm-hmm. And
my favorite race I when I was calling Super Tour races here a year or two ago, I mean, Circuit of the Americas, I've been to a bunch of times calling races there, and it is an absolutely cool, excellent facility. let me tell you.
Well, when you say cool, you were actually freezing your ass off up on top of the tower.
I was calling up there on that after that long straight to take that left up there on that tower. I was out there and icicles hanging off my. Anyway,
there was icicles just hanging off of your.
Wow.
Yeah, that deserved one of the. But Wayne, my favorite track is, of course, Circuit of the Americas. I said is great, and Road America is my favorite, though.
Yep.
I love that place.
Yep.
I wish NASCAR would go back there.
I do too, and but we get stuck with the Chicago street course, so guess we have to settle for that. But
did you just say the shitty street course?
No, I said the Chicago street course.
But it is.
I swear,
He said it right, Andy.
Every single week he thinks I'm saying shitty. Like, come on.
Chitty bang bang. Oh gosh.
That's our new name for the Chicago race.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Chitty road course.
Anyway,
let's get in the news of the week.
Yeah,
Jeez.
man, those air riches are
running out of time, folks.
Oh yeah, we are. But with that all said, here, folks, over to news of the week real quick before we get to picks for Coda. And we talked about it in the open of the show here, just kind of a little teaser for it. But Connor Zilisch has officially made the announcement as of March the 12th, so last week, inks a multi-race deal with Junior Motorsports in the Xfinity Series in 2024. The 17-year-old talent and this year's Rolex 24-hour Daytona LMP2 class winner will make his NASCAR Xfinity debut following his 18th birthday at the Watkins Glen International Race on September the 14th behind the wheel of Junior Motorsports' famed number 88 Chevrolet Monte Carlo.
That 88 is showcasing new talent all year this year. This is excellent.
Yep. It is absolutely phenomenal stuff getting to watch all these rookies get in there and turn the wheel and see what they can do behind that JRM car. But, you know, one thing I like about Junior, and I'm going to say this, unlike Michael Jordan at 23-11, because God knows Jordan can't pick talent to save his life. We all know about that whole debacle. Not just at 23-11, but with the Charlotte Hornets too, folks. And if you're from North Carolina, you know exactly what I'm talking about. But JRM and Dale Jr. and the whole crew over at Junior Motorsports, they have been, like you said, Andy, not only are they showcasing talent, but they are picking by far some of the best talent out there.
And I'm sure Kelly has a lot to do with this too, Wayne.
Oh yeah.
Yep.
Hands down, yeah. Junior, Kelly, and just everybody that's involved behind the scenes at JRM, which actually I passed by the race shop the other day. It was actually half tempted to stop in there, but I was like, they might just throw me out.
Don't get us thrown out of there, too.
But moving on over into the world of the Truck Series here, and this past weekend at Bristol, Christian Eckes barely held off the mighty number 7, Kyle Busch, to win at Bristol by just a mere tenth of a second.
Yeah, that was a good race.
And Christian Eckes won from the pole too, man. He was picking them up and putting them down the whole weekend. Now, no big deal with the tires and the trucks.
And so now, granted, again, if Goodyear says they brought the same compound from last year, then apparently something changed in those Cup cars. But we won't touch on that because that was just wild.
Wayne Goodyear left those tires out in the sun and they dry rotted, I think is what happened.
I think so, yeah. That or they got a little snow on them wherever they were hiding at there over the winter.
They surely weren't soaking them.
Yeah, right. And moving on here now to a couple of other things here. The world of sprint cars, Anthony Macri finally gets himself a Williams Grove win this past weekend in the sprint cars, and scored his first ever Williams Grove Speedway opening day win this past Sunday, worth $5,500 in cool hard cash.
Nice.
So some good stuff for Anthony Macri there. And God Almighty, I swear we've got to find a way to stop talking about this guy every freaking week on the show. Max Verstappen once again remains perfect with the Saudi Arabian GP win. this past weekend out in Jeddah, and it's just like, oh my God! Like he goes into the off season winning and a champion. He comes back into the next season winning. What in the hell is Red Bull doing to these cars? Like, they have got to be cheating them up something fierce.
They're on a roll.
The Formula One.
Yeah.
That's what it is. It's the formula, and folks are like, well, it is Formula One. No, folks, it's Formula One, a formula they put out every year or every few years that the race teams have to go by. And some of these teams can, like Red Bull now, it was Mercedes a few years ago, get the current formula and work it up. And that's the problem with F1 racing. You get a team that just knows how to work that formula, and you can't touch them.
Nope.
Absolutely.
100%. But we have got to get ourselves over to picks now for COTA coming up this weekend in the Echo Park Automotive Grand Prix at COTA Circuit of the Americas. And Andrew, pick number 1, my friend.
AJ Allmendinger, baby.
All right. So
hopefully he's running the Cup race. If not, he's running the Xfinity race and he'll win that. If AJ's not running the Cup race, then I'll go with Ross Chastain.
Oh, good Lord. That's hilarious. All right. So if AJ's not running Ross Chastain, if AJ is running, then it'll be AJ Allmendinger for Andrew DeLay. NASCAR chef John Dix, are you going to pick with your head or your heart this week?
Well, I've been picking with my heart, Wayne, and it hadn't been working out too good. So the gentleman who is the top driver since 2021 at COTA and all road courses is the awesome Chase from Dawsonville.
All right, so he's gonna go for Chase from the same place. And
there you
go. so road course king Chase Elliott for the NASCAR chef John Dix. I am gonna go with the. I'm not gonna lie, it's a tough decision. I'm kind of split on who I want to go with this week. But I'm gonna go with the second road course ace, and also Hendrick Motorsports. I'm gonna say Young Money gets it done this weekend at COTA.
Larson, baby, that's a good call.
Yep. I'm gonna say Young Money gets it done this week at Circuit of the Americas. But with that said, here, folks, it is that time once again where we have to get out of here for the fastest 60 minutes in motorsports. And man, 60 minutes just flies on by every single week, and we love it. But with that said, here for the NASCAR chef John Dix, for Andy DeLay, for our guest this week, NASCAR crew chief Todd Parrott, I'm producer Wayne. And until next week, we love you guys. Burning rubber, baby!
Burning rubber, baby.
Burning rubber, baby.
Burning Rubber Radio is a production of White Lightning Entertainment with studios in Statesville, North Carolina, and was brought to you by Drive Refine. It's more than driver coaching, it's Drive Refine. Visit driverefine.com to get signed up today. This week's show was produced by Wayne Owens. Remember to visit burningrubberradio.com for news, recipes, and more great content. Burning Rubber Radio can be seen on Rumble, YouTube, or wingding.tv and heard on radio stations nationwide. Any use of the accounts or descriptions contained in this broadcast must be the express written permission of White Lightning Entertainment.